I've got a top 10 list, a top 10 list for you today, Book Chew. It's about Aussie authors coming to you from one of the Aussie dude. And if I catch you coming back my way, I'm gonna sell it to you. So if you like the video, please subscribe if you do. And that's it for the intro. What's up, BookTube? It's Fitzy here, and today I'm going to talk about my top 10 Australian fantasy authors. Now, I'm going to speak a little bit about the authors themselves, and then I'm going to dive into some of their work that I've appreciated in my life. Coming in at number 10, we've got Sean Williams. Sean Williams is an Australian author residing in Adelaide. You might have heard of Sean Williams from his Aversion series, but I first grew familiar with Sean through his Star Wars adaptations. He is right up there with the best Star Wars novelists in the world. His Star Wars Force Heretic series is amazing, but I first ran into Sean's work through Star Wars The Force Unleashed. If you're passionate about science fiction and fantasy, I highly recommend you check out Sean's work. Coming in at number 9 on the list, we have Trudy Canavan, and I'm going to highlight her Magician's Apprentice novel. Now, Trudy is an amazing author, and her series, the Black Magician trilogy, is really, really good. However, the standalone prequel, The Magician's Apprentice, is fantastic. This book highlights the life of Tessia, and she is a young girl from the countryside destined to become a magician. I'll leave it at that and let you explore this one on your own. Fantastic world building in this one, and hats off to Trudy Canavan. Coming in at number 8, we've got Jay Kristoff, and I want to highlight his Storm Dancer novel from the Lotus Wars series. Arashitoraz is supposed to be extinct, so when Yukiko and her warrior father Masaru are sent to capture one for the Shogun, they fear that their lives are over. Everyone knows what happens to those who fail the Lord of the Shima Isles, but the mission proves less impossible and more deadly than anyone expects. Soon Yukiko finds herself stranded, a young woman alone in her country's last wilderness, with only a furious, crippled Arashitora for company. Although she can hear his thoughts and save his life, all she knows for certain is he'd rather see her dead than help her. Yet trapped together in the forest, Yukiko and the beast soon discover a bond that neither of them expected. This is one of the greatest creature companion novels you will ever read. I highly recommend Storm Dancer by Jay Kristoff. Coming in at number 7, we've got Leanne Hearn, and I want to talk about her novel Across the Nightingale Floor, The Deadly Nightingale Floor. In his black-walled fortress at Inuyama, the warlord Ida Sadamo surveys his famous Nightingale Floor, constructed with exquisite skill. It sings at the tread of each human foot. No assassin can cross it unheard. This is an amazing book. It's a coming-of-age story of revenge, betrayal, and romance. I highly recommend it if you're into feudal Japan, assassins, and a sprinkle of fantasy. Coming in at number 6, we've got James Islington. Now, you may know him from the Lacanius trilogy, but I've actually just picked up The Hierarchy Book 1, and this is The Will of Many by James Islington. I'm about halfway through this book, and I have to say so far I'm loving it. It has an amazing, really unique magical system in this book. I don't want to give too much away. It's a fresh one, and I think you should all go and pick this one up. It's a great read. Has to be on everyone's Christmas stocking filler list for 2024. Please, Lord, motherfucker. Coming in at number 5, I've got Garth Nix, and although his Keys to the Kingdom series is probably his most well-known work, I want to highlight Sabriel, the Orson series, book number 1. This is the first book that I read by Garth Nix, and will always be my favourite book by Garth Nix. I love the world building, I love the creature companions, I love the weapons, I love the stakes, the plot, the pacing. Garth Nix nails everything. If you haven't read this, I'm sure you've all heard of Garth Nix, but if you haven't read this particular series, go check it out, you will not be disappointed. Come on, it's Garth Nix. Coming in at number 4, we have John Flanagan. I still get pumped up when I think about the Rangers Apprentice series. Watching Will go toe to toe with some of his childhood bullies was one of the most satisfying bully beatdown scenes written of all time. I really think John Flanagan is a bit of an underrated writer. I adored the Rangers Apprentice series as a teenager. I adore it now. I don't care. I adore those books. The book series follows a young orphan as he is apprenticed to a mysterious ranger. It also sort of follows one of his friends as they learn to become a knight, and let's just say, it is just such a satisfying read. These books are fast-paced, they've got witty dialogue, incredible characters, and I highly recommend you check out John Flanagan's Rangers Apprentice series. Speaking of epic series, number 3 brings us to Emily Rodda. Now, if you tell me you haven't heard of Deltora Quest, then you're just lying. This is one of the greatest series of fantasy or horror or whatever you want to call it. These things, you might not think, well, horror, what do you mean? Man, these books scared the crap out of me as a kid, but they also thrilled me. It's obvious to see that I like fast-paced writing styles, and it's obvious to see why, because of that, Emily Rodda is near the top of my list. I'm still hoping that one day we can get an amazing Deltora Quest TV show. That would be worth watching. Coming in at number 2 on my list, we have Matthew Reilly. Although he himself doesn't identify as a fantasy author, let's be honest, Contest and The Great Zoo of China are both incredible fantasy works. The Great Zoo of China is maybe a little bit more sci-fi, I could cop that, but these are books about dragons on Earth and aliens on Earth. Sci-fi sure, but there's fantasy elements, and Matthew Reilly is a master. I think Matthew Reilly's greatest strength is his character development. He has me caring about these characters, like The Great Zoo of China as a standalone novel. Yeah, I felt like I'd been with that protagonist for a whole series. Matthew Reilly is truly one of my favourite authors, not just Australian, of all time. I'm always excited to check out more Matthew Reilly. Coming in at number 1, Sarah Douglas. Sarah Douglas is one of the greatest inspirations for fantasy writers in the Southern Hemisphere, I think, full stop. Fiona McIntosh and several other amazing authors list her as someone who inspired them greatly with their own works. I think that she is fantastic, and today I want to talk about her Axis trilogy and the book Battle Axe. 1,000 years ago, the Akarites drove the Forbidden from their land. Now strange sightings along Akar's northern border foreshadow their return. The barbaric tribes of the Ravensbund are pouring south with tales of fearsome beings who feed on the terror of their prey. Axis, bastard son of the dead Princess Ruvka, is sent to the battlefront of Gorkenford with his elite axe wielders. Once there, he must hand over command to his hated half-brother, Borneld. But travelling north, Axis falls in love with Faraday, Borneld's betrothed, and meets 2 priests who challenge the very essence of his beliefs. The Sentinels walk the land, the Tree Friend has been found, and the people of the Plough, the Wing, and the Horn must set aside their differences and unite under one leader against the evil rising in the north. Now, I know evil rising in the north is very Game of Thrones and very much has been done, but Battle Axe by Sarah Douglas is like most things from Australia. It's hot, it's unique, and it's deadly. I really highly recommend this series. Check it out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. That's been my top 10 Australian fantasy authors. This is Fitzy Reads and Writes. Please like and subscribe to the channel.